Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Can you believe Juvia's Place dropped 2 new products in 2 days, and we're here to talk about it. So if you guys want to see swatches, see 2 eye looks, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. I immediately added this eyeshadow palette to my cart. So if you like new makeup releases, especially eyeshadow palettes, I'm your girl. This is the place for you. I like to talk about tan girl friendly makeup, and I do try to post pretty often, so highly recommend subscribing, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. So I have just been trying to play catch up since going on maternity leave last month, and I'm actually wearing my baby today. She's taking a nap. My oldest daughter is taking a nap. So everybody's taking a nap, and this palette arrived I think yesterday, and I was just dying to film with it. So I finally got the chance. I did most of my base makeup, and I'll tell you guys all about it once we get to the end of the video. But I do have the new Juvia's Place Culture 2 palette. I also ended up getting the Culture 1 palette. I did never do a dedicated video on this one, but I thought it'd be fun to show you guys side-by-side comparisons. So I'll save that till the end. But I did go ahead and shoot some close-ups and swatches of this palette. So let's go ahead and get into it so you guys can see a closer look. And then on the back here, it does say this palette was designed and formulated in the US, made in the PRC. It's an eyeshadow and pressed pigment palette with a net weight of 45 grams or 1.58 ounces, and it is a 24-month shelf life. So on the back of the palette here, it says, "Join us on our explorative adventure of the 2nd edition of the beautiful and rich culture of Africa, a show-stopping burst of irresistible shades to make any look pop." So the theme of this palette is the Explorer. It says that unleash your fiercest eyeshadow looks with an expansive array of 30 bold and intense shades, including rich yellows, greens, alluring pinks, majestic purples, oranges, duochrome shades, and cosmetic glitter eyeshadows too. We were heavily inspired by the craftsmanship of West African masks, which embodies the traditional culture and are used in ceremonial activities. A mask must come to life by the wearer of the mask to symbolize a mood. We played around with the very symbolic colors, which represent unity, love, excitement, fruitfulness, boldness, authority, and lastly, growth and healing, all of which can be dramatic depending on the wearer of the mask. Featuring shades made to play, you'll find full spectrum color with all day, everyday wearability, making it the best rainbow eyeshadow palette around. So it starts off, I did film the swatches kind of down in the columns, and that's how the shades are described here on the Juvia's Place website as well. This palette does retail for $38 on the Juvia's Place website, and it is also available on the Ulta website. I do have affiliate links for both of those websites, so I will put those down below. It truly helps me out because I will make a small commission, and I put that back into running my channel, which is awesome sauce for me. So I just want to be super transparent about that. They also did launch some liquid highlighters, so I would have loved to pick them all up, but I tried to just get one just to see, and I haven't even looked at what this one looks like, but I got the shade Egyptian Glow. I did my best to color match it. They didn't have all the shades swatched together when I placed my order. I don't know if that's been added to the Juvia's Place website, but I really like their liquid blushes, so I'm very excited to play with their liquid highlighters, and I'm going to guess that this means that maybe liquid bronzers aren't very far behind, which makes me very excited. I have all of the blushes, and I have a bronzer shade from Juvia's Place as well. They make amazing complexion products, so I'm just so happy anytime they launch something new. I feel like it was time for them to come out with a new eyeshadow palette, so I'm very excited to put this one on my face. Okay, so I kind of have some inspiration for the looks I want to do. I definitely loved the green shades in this palette, and then these 2 shades, River and Queen Vibes, in the swatches looked amazing. So I was kind of thinking maybe like a neutral look inspired by that, and yes, I've done a bunch of green and neutral looks in the last few weeks, but I can't help myself because, you know, that's what I love. So I'm going to start off with the shade Propa. It's this shade right here. It's like a chartreusey green color, and I just thought that would be so beautiful to kind of start off in the crease. And I'm just using a Sigma E25. This is in my Sigma Favorites set, and I have the Juvia's Place eyeshadow primer on. The Juvia's Place eyeshadow primer is one of my favorite eyeshadow primers. I recently started kind of using the Sigma. Well, it's not recent. It's been like ever since I got it, but I haven't gone back to the Juvia's Place one. But today I tried to do like a full face of Juvia's Place because they pretty much have a full line of complexion and products like eyeshadows and eyeliners and all sorts of things. So I did try to pull as many Juvia's Place products as I could just to kind of do something a little bit different. But I think they're one of the very few like black owned indie brands that has so many SKUs and so many different product lines. So it makes me very, very happy to see them being so successful. The shade Propa is not showing as much pigmentation as I would have liked, but I also did a more skin tone eyeshadow primer, so I'm guessing if I had done a eyeshadow primer that had a white undertone, it would have probably showed up better. So I'm going to go into the shade Festive, which is this green shade right here in the first row. It's like a really pretty olive green, so I'm just going to keep that kind of in the crease as well, but I'm going to try and apply it a little bit lower than that first shade just to give both those shadows kind of their own little moment. But yeah, Festive is definitely a little bit more pigmented than Propa, so that's good. And I'm just dusting the brush off and then just blending away. You guys know I love blending eyeshadow, so I could sit and do this all day long. And then we're going to go into the shade called Motherland, which is a pretty like apple green color. So picking that up, and again I'm going to put that in my crease as well. I really want to try and make this crease nice and luscious looking. So we'll just go ahead and also just bring that onto the lid. But we've got 3 green mattes on the crease and the lid now. So I think that looks pretty solid. Now I want to deepen it up, so I'm going to go into this shade called Fufu. It's a really pretty dark green shade. So I'm going to pick it up on that same E25, and we're just going to run that on the outer corner and slowly bring it in. There's a lot of kick up from these shadows, which I haven't used Juvia's Place palette in a hot second, so I can't tell you if I truly remember them being so powdery, but it definitely feels like other formulas from other indie brands that I have played with recently. So I'm just trying really hard to dust it off, and it looks like this green shade I feel like could layer a little bit better. It's a little bit patchy for what I like, so I think I'm gonna have to do some just like press the eyeshadow in, and then I'll have to lightly blend later, but I want it to be nice and dark, so I want to pack it instead of blend it. And then I'm just going to take a clean brush and just kind of blend the outer edges. I'll just go in with Festive a little bit and just kind of help mesh that shade in with the other shades in the crease. But yeah, there's a bit of fallout. I'm trying to be careful, and there's a ton of kick up on the pan too, which is not my usual experience. Okay, so I think that's it for the matte shadows for this look. So we're gonna do a lid shade. I think we're gonna try Hose or Jose. I don't know how to say it. This first shade, it was feeling kind of like a multi-chrome. It feels a little bit like a wet shade, like it has that like, I don't know, really soft like multi-chrome texture to it. So I typically use a brush when I'm applying my metallics, but I was trying it with my finger just because I was curious to see how it would go on with the finger. But let me go ahead and grab a flat brush, and then we can see how it packs on, especially when I spray it. I want to see if it'll like foil nicely. So I'm just gonna take that and I'm gonna go ahead and pull that all the way. Okay, I feel like all of the eyeshadow, like the matte eyeshadow, it's not my favorite. It's definitely kind of getting eaten up by the crease, which is not my favorite. I'm going to try and pack it back on there, but like, what is happening? This is a formula that I've experienced with other brands. I obviously can't tell you if this is made in the same place as other brands that I've tried in the past, but I can tell that it's that formula I don't love. And I love Juvia's place, but I don't ever remember their eyeshadow palettes doing this to me. And if you can see, like, look at how patchy my mattes look. And I just played with the Sigma palette, the collaboration palette with Angela Bright, and I was so blown away by those mattes. So I feel like this is definitely different from my preference of eyeshadows. Now, some people can work with all kinds of formulas. They don't have a problem. But I just want to give you guys my opinion. Obviously, you're coming to my channel to watch me review stuff. So if you didn't care about my opinion, then I don't know why you would be following my channel. But these are Juvia's Place brushes from like a holiday collection forever ago. And I have one of the blending brushes, so I'm going to use it for the eye look on this side. So the shade Queen Vibes really caught my eye when I was swatching the palette. So I'm going to start off by putting this into my crease. But yeah, I'm definitely a little bit disappointed in this green eyeshadow look because I've been playing with so many green palettes, like the new Oden's eye palette that I just did a look with. Holy smokes, if you haven't seen my new makeup releases video, I think I was wearing that palette, and I have a video coming up where I talk about our birth story, and that look is freaking fabulous. So if you're buying this one for the greens, I would say not my favorite. Not my favorite formula. Definitely feel like something is different here with Juvia's Place, but maybe I'll just do less shadows, because sometimes with this type of formula, when you try to pack on a lot of colors, also it backfires. So I'm just going to do this shade, and then I want a deeper outer corner, so I want to grab another brush that has that like tapered blending shape, and I want to go into the shade Dashiki, which is like this burgundy color, and I'm going to use that to darken up the outer corner. And yeah, that one's already applying better than the dark green shadow. So it could be that I just piled on too many shadows. I tend to try and, you know, with bigger palettes and having limited time, I try to use as many shades as I can just to test things. But, you know, that's not always realistic of how people do their makeup either. So take it with a grain of salt. But with this look, I really just want to use like 3 shadows. So that's what we're going to do. And so yeah, there is the shade Dashiki, and then I'm just going to use the blending brush to kind of blend it out a little bit, and then I'm going to take Dashiki again and kind of pack that on. This palette has a really pretty like periwinkle color too. It's right here, called Asoyabi. Sorry. And it's like a really pretty periwinkle shade. So definitely a big rainbow palette. So if you're feeling very creative, you might really enjoy this one. I just have a lot of kick up in the pans. You can kind of see it. I did blow off the palette a few times too, but I was a little bit shooketh by all of the kick up on the pan. And then I need another flat brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Rivers. This freaking shadow swatch so beautifully, so I was very, very curious to see if it would show up as beautifully on my eyes. Look at that. It's like a golden orange color. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. And I'm just going to put that on my lid and pull it into the outer corner as well. Okay, so I just did a little bit of blending there. Way less drama on this eye, but I'm going to go ahead and put on some eyeliner, finish up the lower lash line, and then I'll be back to test out the liquid highlighter from Juvia's Place. Okay, so I am back. I did most of my makeup. We're gonna go ahead and try out the liquid highlighter. So like I said, I got the shade Egyptian Glow, and I'm gonna use a brush because that's just how I like to roll. And these doe foot, they pull out so much product. I just got some on my desk, so I'm gonna use this brush, and I'm gonna use the back of my hand, of course. I already feel very glowy, so I don't feel like I need a ton of product, and I'm just going to use the brush to kind of apply it. But there's the shade. This is without, this is with. So holy moly, I feel very dewy. I did use the Juvia's Place liquid blush as well, so I'm feeling like extra luminous-y, and I don't know that I love that for me. But you know what, I have a lot of thoughts on my makeup right now, so we'll talk about it at the very end here. But let me just put on a little bit more. This is very pretty. I do like the highlighter. I think if my blush was a little less glowy, maybe I wouldn't feel as over the top. And then I use the Cali Ray setting spray as well, which is also kind of dewy, so I feel like we got the dew on top of the dew on top of the dew, so it might be a little much. Maybe I can use some of the Milk Makeup setting spray. Let's see if that'll help kind of tame this a little. Okay, so I did the best I could with the products I have to make this look work as much as I could. So you guys let me know what you think of the highlighter. I think the highlighter is very pretty. It's just a little too much dew for me right now, especially because they're Juvia's Place foundation, this I Am Magic Natural Radiance. I feel like it does have a bit of radiance in it too. That coupled with the liquid blush and the liquid highlighter and the Cali Ray setting spray, I feel like is a little much for me, but I will get over it. So let's go ahead and discuss my thoughts on these new items that I picked up from Juvia's Place. Okay, so I forgot to say this is the finished look. What do you guys think? I also had to throw on these earrings. My husband's actually from Cape Town, South Africa, so the last time he went home, I was like, please get me a bunch of fun African jewelry, and so he did bring me these earrings, and I was like, you know what? I never have an occasion to wear these earrings, and he bought me a bunch of other jewelry as well, but I thought the fun, colorful beads would look really cute with the Culture 2 palette, so I decided to throw those on. So before we talk about the new products from Juvia's Place, let me just tell you guys really quick what else is on my face today. I did try to do a full face of Juvia's Place, or at least to use as many Juvia's Place products as I could. So I am wearing, of course, the Natasha Denona concealer because I didn't have a shade from the Juvia's Place concealer, so I just decided to use the Natasha Denona one. I am wearing one of their newer foundations. This is the I Am Magic Natural Radiance Foundation, and I have it in the shade Bombay, so that is what's on my skin. And then for bronzer today, I'm wearing their powder bronzer in the shade, what is this one? I have like the medium shade. It's the shade Tan, and I love this bronzer so much. For blush today, I'm wearing the shade Coral Rose from their recent liquid blush line. For my lip combo today, I'm wearing the Juvia's Place lipstick in the shade Nile. I love this. It's like a mustardy brown lipstick, and then I just wanted it to be a little bit glossy, so I grabbed the Blend Bunny lip oil in the shade Squeeze and just threw a little bit on, just a teeny bit on my lips. And then I am wearing the Juvia's Place eyeshadow primer. I also have on the Natasha Denona eye pencils. And then on this eye look, I did use the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Sunnyvale. They actually sent me this one with the Smoking Hot collection, so I am planning on filming a video with that separate, but I wanted to try the eyeliner because I was so curious to see if the formula was better, because I believe they reformulated their eyeliners, and I really liked how creamy it was. And I think that's everything else that's on my face today. I'll go ahead and link as many things as I can in the description box for you guys in case you're interested in checking those out. But let's go ahead and look at the Culture 1 palette next to the Culture 2 palette before I forget, because I did promise you guys a side-by-side comparison. So honestly, they do look pretty similar. I wouldn't say identical, but I see a lot of repetition as far as shades go. If they're not the same, they're just a slight bit different. Also, the first palette definitely has more blues and purples in it, so if you are gravitating to that more, maybe you'd be interested in that. I thought I had used the Culture palette, the first one, but looking at it closer, it doesn't look like I've even swatched it, so maybe I'm just like misremembering that I used this palette. And I'm also realizing these are both called the Explorer, so I just kind of assumed since the first one had come out a while ago that it had a different theme to it, but now looking on the back, it does both say the Explorer, so I'm guessing they're both kind of inspired by similar things. So take all of that with a grain of salt as far as, you know, a lot of people are trying to buy less this season just because there is so much makeup coming out. So if you have the first one and you were debating the second one, maybe seeing them side by side would convince you to maybe take some time. I also know Juvia's Place has a lot of sales and discounts, and Ulta also usually has like discount codes, and Juvia's Place is kind of on their drugstore side, so if you really want this palette, maybe you can get a couple of dollars off of it. It is a little bit more pricey than what Juvia's Place used to be, but it's also a much bigger palette, so take all of that with a grain of salt. Now, as far as my first impressions after doing 2 looks with the Culture 2 palette, I feel like I'm gonna get roasted for saying this, but I'm actually not impressed with this palette at all. I've been playing with a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I mean, I'm always playing with eyeshadow palettes. I feel like I'm always trying new formulas. I'm trying different brands. My favorite brands come out with new palettes, so then I'm always, you know, kind of keeping up with the latest and greatest formulas. And I was really excited when I saw this palette because I was like, ooh, there's a lot of colors. I can't wait to try it. I feel like it's been a hot minute since Juvia's Place launched some eyeshadow, so that's what like prompted me to buy this, and I'm honestly a little bit disappointed. I was such a big Juvia's Place stan. I feel like it's gotten a little bit less over the years, but I do have playlist for all of my favorite brands on my YouTube channel, so I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could go back on my channel and look at how long ago I started using Juvia's Place, and you'll see that I have a very long history with the brand. And yeah, I'm just not impressed with this palette anymore. I think their whole stick used to be that they made affordable, very pigmented eyeshadows, but the eyeshadow market has changed so much. Now you can find really good palettes for really good price points, so it's not just good enough to be price competitive. You also have to really have a really cool and unique color story. You also need to have a really good formula, and I just don't feel like this formula lived up to my expectations for the brand. The metallics foiled really nicely, so I'm very hopeful for all the other shades that are in this palette as far as the metallics go, but the matte shadows are very disappointing. I just was not impressed with these green shadows. They looked very patchy after I was done putting them on. I had to keep trying to build up the colors, which is so irritating. It's definitely not my preference when it comes to eyeshadows, so I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I'm not very impressed with the palette. If you haven't bought it yet, I feel like you can easily skip it. But of course, I understand some people want to own every single palette. So obviously, you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, me and the baby have to get going, so I'm going to touch on the liquid highlighter really quickly. I think it's very beautiful. It has a really nice lit from within look. So I think if you're interested in a beautiful liquid highlighter, you might want to check this out. Of course, I feel like there are so many options these days out there, so you know, maybe you can just shop your stash if you are just really craving a liquid highlighter. Also, like I said again, Ulta and Juvia's Place usually have good sales, so if you want to grab it on sale, I'm sure you can. I don't regret buying the highlighter, but I definitely feel like I regret buying the eyeshadow palette. I don't know that I'm going to pick that back up anytime soon, especially when I have gorgeous palettes that work really well without me having to put a ton of effort in. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions. I know I was a bit critical, but I mean, I feel like it's my job, so hopefully you guys don't mind. Let me know your thoughts on this palette as well as the liquid highlighter from Juvia's Place. Did you guys pick any of this up? or were you waiting to see some reviews? Of course, as always, check out other channels as well. Don't just take my word for this, and of course take it with a grain of salt because all of this is my opinion. But I always encourage you guys to watch multiple channels and see what other people are saying as well. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you didn't. Give it a thumbs down if you didn't. Whatever you're feeling, just let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye for now.